Why was it important for you to seek counseling?
Because of the responses that my body was actually giving me. Because of the depression, I started to get anxiety attacks, and I didn't even know it was anxiety attacks.
Real men, raw stories, radical perspectives. This is the voice of authentic masculinity. This is Manhood Speaks. Why do you think it is important for a man to address his mental health?
Your mental health impacts every single thing. It even impacts you physically. I remember talking to a businessman, and he told me that he was a part of a very prominent organization in Trinidad that went under. It went under drastically because of the fall of the real estate market in the United States, and he was losing millions by the day, and he was going through depression. And he said when he went to the doctor, he had ulcers on his stomach, and the doctor put the blame on depression.
Mm.
You know, because with the rise of cortisol, there are a lot of things that happen. Diabetes, high blood pressure, because you are in a place of anxiety. And when you are there consistently, it impacts your blood sugar levels. It impacts your blood pressure. Because if we understand how that actually supposed to work, if you are in danger, there's the rush of adrenaline, which is supposed to hit your muscles, and you're supposed to be able to run faster, jump a little higher to escape danger. But your mind can see danger in several different things and go into that same response. So if you are going through a financial struggle and you are in a place of fear, or you may be afraid of losing your home or so forth, it goes into that same response. If it is that you are afraid of losing your family, your brain goes into the same response. The adrenaline pumps, the cortisol is on the rise, and the glucose goes into the blood because you're expected to run. But this is what the brain has been hardwired to do from since ancient times, because the dangers for our great ancestors was running from a saber-toothed lion, maybe, and you'll get that adrenaline pump, and you'll be able to run a bit faster, climb a tree quicker. But now that the dangers have changed, and as the Bible says, men's hearts are failing for fear. It could be referring to heart attacks because, of the modern day stresses that exist. So we need to actually, revisiting our old point, these things actually need to be addressed seriously, especially as it relates to manhood.
You mentioned counseling, that you went to counseling. There are a lot of men who choose to not seek help because it may make them appear to be weak. A man should be able to deal with his issues. Why was it important for you to seek counseling? There comes a time when every man gets tired of the weight that he's carrying alone, tired of suffering in silence, tired of pretending that he has it all together. And that is why I created Manhood Speaks Brotherhood. It is a private school community where regular men like you and I can connect, support each other, and build together. In this community, you're going to find real and raw conversations, but also other brothers who are willing to challenge and support your growth. For the first 7 days, you get in free. So click the link in the description and take your seat at the fire. And let's begin this process of transformation. Now, let's get you back to the interview.
Because of the responses that my body was actually giving me. Because of the depression, I started to get anxiety attacks, and I didn't even know it was anxiety attacks. I just used to feel like my whole body got stiff. And it's after that, it's through counseling actually that I recognized that it was anxiety attacks that I was enduring. We must find an outlet to vent, right? We would consume food, and we would get rid of waste when we use the bathroom and so forth. That is a vent to get rid of toxic components that dwells within the body. We also have to know that there are emotionally toxic components that can enter our minds due to maybe being around narcissistic people, bad experiences. And if we hold on to these things, just as if we hold on to waste within the body, we can go into septicemia. Mentally, we can go into septicemia as well too. If it is we do not vent the toxic emotions and the toxic thoughts that could stay within our minds, and this can stay for years. And then we get heart attacks, we get high blood pressure. We are stressed out consistently. We're always in a place of anxiety. That is the reason why it is important to get counseling. Because if those things are held on to long enough, it could even lead to a place of suicide. Look, just this morning, a good friend of mine contacted me, a colleague of mine. And somehow the conversation digressed into men and depression and so forth. And he mentioned to me that he had a relative who he and his wife was, going through a separation. But he had the child. The wife ended up revealed that the child is not his own. But he kept the child. He still kept the child. And one day the police came to take the child. And the wife was there as well. And she keeps saying, the child is not yours, it's not yours, it's not your child, you're not the father. And the guy, like, he went insane at that moment. Probably that was a build-up of years or months maybe of dealing with that stress. But what the action he took was really extreme. He said, so this is not my child. This is not my child. Okay, just no. And he took a cutlass and chopped off the child's head. Look at what that led to. Now, suppose he had someone that he could vent to. Probably when the wife came with the officers, maybe he could have had a different outcome because he would have already vented some of the toxic thoughts and experiences and how he's feeling within this whole situation. But instead, he probably kept it in. I don't know the full dynamics and mechanics of that situation, but probably kept it in. And it manifested itself physically with his action. My colleague also told me that this gentleman is in prison and he's taking newspapers and stuff and making planes and cars and all that in prison. He went off the rockers, They believe he's mentally disturbed now, mentally challenged, and is in prison. So I'm saying all of that to show that, it is vitally important to vent these things.
I've never heard it put across like that. In terms of your physical body, when you consume that, you release the waste. And likewise, it's the same thing mentally, that you need to release the waste, the toxic elements of your thoughts and your emotions. Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective. I like that. What are positive ways that a man can utilize in order to release these negative thoughts and emotions?
Well, I have to go back to seeking professional help, counseling. That is one way that could be used as a safeguard in regards to not going down that path. In addition to that, finding your own motivation, rather. Like for me, I never entertained negative thoughts because I didn't want to bring shame to my boys. Where people had to be telling them kind of foolishness and so forth. So find what motivates you. You want to live long for your son and for your daughter. You don't want to bring shame to your family. So you have to capitalize on these motivations so that you wouldn't venture down that path. Because look, there's the argument of temporary insanity, right? Because someone could argue that the gentleman who I just referred to would have went temporarily insane. And committed that act. So it is important that we vent. I also spoke about with the rise of cortisol levels in your body, exercise to burn it out, right? So who knows? A good run around the savannah could calm your thoughts. Maybe. So these are the various aspects. Now, I'm not a professional psychologist. Let me throw that out there. But but I did study psychology, and from those things, I would say could be good outlets to be able to vent, get rid of those toxic thoughts that would be there, because that final action that guy committed, I would consider that to be septicemia, emotional septicemia, where it manifested in that way. He became mentally sick because of the experience. So it is an important event, and those ways are just some of the ways you can do it. You could probably Google some stuff as well and see what direction it could point you, and you choose the one that best suits you.
Remember to check out the full interview right here on Manhood Speaks.